We'll give you his objectives. This is the 10th speech from the CC manual. Inspire the audience by appealing to their needs and emotions. Try to avoid using notes. This is an 8 to 10 minute speech. Please welcome Paul Artelli, the Formula, Paul Artelli.
For years, January used to be my favorite time of year. Because when I was in the gym working out, I would see everybody with their New Year's resolutions come in, and I would take bets on how long these people would last. And it was hilarious. Because January 3rd, it's packed, and I would get annoyed because I used to work out, I still do work out, like every week. I'd hit the weights 3 times a week plus cardio. And these people would be taking up my bench space. They'd be taking up my treadmill. And I remember going home and complaining to my wife, and I'd be just on I'd be up on their commitment. I'd be like, these people are going to be here, they're taking up my space, and I wouldn't have a problem with it, but in a couple months, they're going to be gone. So why don't they just do themselves a favor? They can either commit to something, or just get out of my way. And I would do this every day for several months. And finally, my wife came back with something that I wasn't expecting. She said, "You're just like them." What? What are you talking about? I lift 3 times a week. I do cardio 3 times a week, and on my off day, I'm walking a couple miles just for fun. I'm not like them. I'm committed. I used to be almost 300 pounds. She's like, "Oh, no, on the gym thing, you're committed." I said, "But you talk about being a speaker all the time. And in the 3 years we've been together, you've done almost nothing. You just wait for people to invite you to their classroom, or they hear your story and they want you to share it. You make absolutely no effort to become a speaker." That got me thinking. Because she was right. I mean, how do you argue with someone when they're right? You want to, but no words come out of your mouth, or no valid words come out of your mouth. And so she challenged me that day. And for some reason, I took that challenge and I decided, I'm going to do one up on this. Fine. You're challenging me? You want me to walk my talk? I'm going to do that. I mean, that's what I talk about. I need to actually follow what I talk. And what I learned and what I'm going to share today is a 3-step formula, 3-part formula. And a very important mystery question that you need to ask yourself when we want to achieve our goals. The formula is this: learning plus focus equals achievement. Learning plus focus equals achievement. Well, what does that mean? Well, let's talk about learning. When I got challenged to become a better speaker professionally, not just someone who does it recreationally, part of the reason I did nothing is I knew nothing about speaking. All I saw was the infomercial on TV from Tony Robbins from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. That's what I knew about speaking. I'm like, that's cool. Someday someone will discover me and they'll give me a TV contract and I can sell books the rest of my life. I knew nothing about it. Because I knew nothing about it, I stayed in ignorance. And because I stayed in ignorance, I didn't progress in my speaking career. And me being a student, especially now I'm working on my PhD, I'm like a lifelong student. First thing I do is open a book. That's what I know. That's what I'm trained to do. I went to the library and I took out books on public speaking. And I took out Tony Robbins books and Zig Ziglar books and any self-help book, anything that was similar to what I wanted to speak about. And I learned. And I just kept reading and consuming material as much as possible, to the point where it started to get repetitive. And if anyone's done graduate work here or done a major thesis or a report, something called the lit review, and the lit review is the part where you can really get drowned and get stuck. And it's hard, because you really want to get all the previous research out and you want to be current, but there comes a point where if you don't pull yourself out of it, you get stuck and you'll never get your dissertation, never get your thesis done. Well, there's a general rule that it's time to stop the lit review when everything becomes repetitive. When you start seeing the same people being cited, it means you've got the information. And that started happening to me. I started reading the same things, the concepts became the same, think win-win became everybody wins, becomes something else. It all just started to mesh together. I'm like, okay, I've got it. And so I started my learning track. And after that point, we go to the focus, and this is the most important part of it. Focus is the application of learning. Everything I knew, now I had no excuse. I can't say I don't know anything about speaking. I know it, theoretically. Now I got to apply it. But I can't just apply it. It's not an everyday, it's not a once a week thing. It's something you have to apply day in, day out. That's the focus. How did I start? A very simple exercise I want us to do. Okay, we talked about the achievement part. The achievement part of this formula is easy. I don't have to talk about it much. It's the stuff you do before the achievement that's important. So I want you to take a second. I want you to think about a goal in any aspect of your life. I want you to think about that for a second. What is it? You've got that goal. Now I want you to refine that goal. Because to say I want to be the president of my company, say I want to be the CEO, I want to be a manager, I want to lift more weights, whatever that goal is not good enough. Take another second to make it more specific. What is it you specifically want out of that goal? Do you want to be a branch manager at your current company? Is it your goal to bench press 350 pounds 10 times in a row? Or 8 times in a row? But you have to make those goals specific because you have to know what you're going towards. And if it's general, you're not going to get there. You've got your specific goals now, right? We know what they're going to be. Here's the third part. When you leave here today, here's the challenge. Usually I leave the challenge to the end of the speech. I'm going to give it to you right now. The challenge is to get that goal. Type it out, write down on a piece of paper, and you need to look at that thing every single day. When you wake up in the morning, you need to look at it. When you go brush your teeth, it needs to be on your bathroom mirror. It needs to be in your wallet. It needs to be by your desk. It needs to be somewhere where you will see it consistently every single day. Because if you just say, I want to do this, you will forget about it. You will find every excuse. You're like, oh man, there's like 5 Facebook posts today. I forgot. You know, there's that kitten in the basket and I totally got sidetracked. You need to see the goal every day. Partially to remind you that you actually still have one, but it also gives you no excuse. Because if it's on your computer monitor, and we all waste a lot of time on the internet these days, right? Let's be honest. If it's on the monitor and you got Facebook up and your goal is staring you got to ask yourself, is what I'm doing now helping me get towards that goal? Or is it taken away? And that's where the focus part comes in. Focus is taking the learning, applying it with everything you have. Focus means getting up at 7:27 in the morning. That's focus. I used to coach college football players. We used to talk about what it takes to become a championship team, and it's the little things. It's getting up in the morning. It's hitting the weight room when you don't want to. It's studying until 3 a.m. some nights when you don't have to. Because if your goal is to become a championship football team, you're doing more than what the other guy is doing. It's a really simple concept. It also means you have to make sacrifices. It means maybe not going to a party. We're talking about athletics still. Maybe not going to a party on a Friday night because you have to hit the weight room. You got to get your academics done. Maybe you just need to rest. What are you doing that the other person isn't? That's focus. For me in my personal speaking career, let's come back to that. It means not going to family functions sometimes. It means having to choose between a cousin's wedding and driving down to Indianapolis for a 4-hour conference from the National Speakers Association. It's a tough choice. I'm not saying one is right over the other. I chose speaking because that's my goal. So I wake up every morning, I see the financial goals I want to achieve, I see the personal development goals I have to achieve, and when I look at it, the choice becomes a lot easier. That's focus. I also have personal goals, by the way, that trump my professional, just so there's like, this guy doesn't go to anything. But the point is, you have to focus and you have to prioritize. Focus is the application of learning at its optimal level. Let me add to that definition. It's the application of learning at its optimal level. It's everything you got for that amount of time until you achieve your goal. Leads to the third part, right? Learning plus focus equals what? Achievement, okay? Learning plus focus equals achievement. The achievement part is the easy part. It's the byproduct. You do all that, you will achieve something. You will be far better than what you were. And guess what happens after achievement? You go back to learning. Because there's no such thing as a static goal, right? I might say, okay, this year I want to give 15 manual speeches out of my Toastmasters Club. That's great. The minute that happens, I don't stop. I got to keep going to my next goal. Got to keep going forward. That's what it's all about. It's about learning. I meet my goals all the time. And sometimes I don't. But whenever the situation comes up, I reevaluate and I go, okay, what's my next step? I found that I wasn't getting enough evaluation out of the Toastmasters Club, so I audio record everything I do. And I listen to it. When I have time, I transcribe it. That's my next step. And those are the types of things we have to do if we want to move forward and achieve some of our goals and our personal dreams. It becomes the difference between being that person in January in the weight room who walks over to the gym and maybe does a couple minutes on the treadmill and leaves. And by March, they're nowhere there. And the person that commits day in, day out loses that weight that they wanted to lose. Or, hey, we're an Olympic year, becomes an Olympian, becomes a high-performance athlete, becomes someone maybe midway through their life, starts to compete and does incredible things. That's the difference. The question is, will you apply the formula? Or more importantly, which formula will you apply?